That was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the man who's been captivating audiences across the world for decades. But who is the real Dwayne Johnson? How did a young man with dreams of becoming a football star turn into one of the most successful actors, producers, and entrepreneurs in Hollywood? Welcome back to Biography Radio. If you've ever been inspired by a story of perseverance, success against the odds, and sheer willpower, then today's episode is just for you. You see, Dwayne Johnson is more than a name. It's a legend in the making. From wrestling rings to the silver screen, Johnson's rise is a testament to the power of hard work, resilience, and heart. But what was his journey really like? Today, we'll take a deeper dive into the life of Dwayne Johnson, from his early years through his rocky start in wrestling to how he became the unstoppable force we know and love today. So, whether you followed his every move or this is the first time you're learning about his rise, stick around. It's going to be a wild ride. But before we get into the ups and downs of his career, let's take a moment to reflect on the man behind the character. Dwayne Johnson's story isn't just about what he's achieved. It's about how he's influenced culture, the impact he's had on millions, and how his persona became a global symbol of overcoming adversity. He's not just a movie star. He's a force of nature. So, let's start from the beginning. Long before the flashing lights, the packed arenas, and the blockbuster movies, let's go back to where it all started. In Hawaii, with young Dwayne Johnson, who, like many of us, had dreams, challenges, and a desire to prove himself. A story full of surprises, struggles, and triumphs. This is the untold story of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Imagine for a moment the weight of a name. Not just any name, but one that carries with it decades of history, legacy, and expectations. For Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, that name was passed down from someone who walked an extraordinary path before him, his father, Rocky Johnson. But before we dive into their shared legacy, let's understand a man who would shape Dwayne's destiny in ways beyond the wrestling ring, beyond the cameras and lights, and into something far deeper. Born in 1972 in Hayward, California, Dwayne Johnson had no choice but to grow up in a world where greatness was almost expected. But not the kind of greatness most people might think. No, his greatness wasn't just about fame or fortune. It was about resilience, perseverance, and the relentless pursuit of self-discovery. And so, at the heart of his story lies an integral figure. His father, Rocky Johnson. Rocky Johnson, born Wade Douglas Bowles, was a trailblazer, a legend in his own right. He was one of the first black professional wrestlers to gain major success in the WWE, back when the world of professional wrestling wasn't nearly as diverse as it is today. It was in that world that Dwayne first tasted the sweat, the grind, and the sacrifice that comes with chasing a dream, whether in the wrestling ring or life itself. But despite his father's stardom, Dwayne's early years were anything but easy. You see, Rocky Johnson wasn't always there. A demanding career, filled with late nights, frequent travels, and physical tolls, meant that Dwayne didn't always have his father around. And this is where things get personal, because this was a complicated dynamic. It wasn't that Rocky didn't want to be there. It's that his life as a professional wrestler made it nearly impossible. As a young boy, Dwayne didn't understand the sacrifices his father was making. Rocky would be away on tours for weeks, sometimes months, and it would weigh heavily on Dwayne's young heart. This absence, this space in his life, was formative. And here's where the story takes a turn. Because instead of resenting his father for being absent, Dwayne learned something far more valuable. He learned about resilience, about the work ethic, and about what it takes to sacrifice in pursuit of something greater. There's a story Dwayne often shares about his time as a teenager when his father came back into his life more directly. It's one of those moments that truly shows the emotional complexity of their relationship. Dwayne had been trying his hand at football, and while his father had never pushed him into wrestling, he had certainly made it clear that hard work and discipline were values that mattered. One day, after a tough loss on the football field, Dwayne's father, Rocky, took him aside. In his book, Dwayne recalls his father's words with vivid clarity. "You're going to face a lot of defeats in your life, kid, but that's okay, because they're just lessons." It wasn't just advice. It was a lesson in perseverance, in understanding that every failure could be an opportunity for growth. Those words would come to define Dwayne's approach not just to sports or wrestling, but to life itself. But even with those lessons, their bond wasn't without its struggles. As Dwayne ventured into wrestling, following his father's footsteps, yet carving his own path, there was a tension, a desire to prove himself outside of his father's shadow. Rocky had already made his mark, and now it was Dwayne's turn to stand on his own 2 feet. But that didn't mean the lessons had stopped. In fact, as Dwayne started to take off in the wrestling world, he would later reflect on how his father's influence never really left him. He realized that even though Rocky was not always physically present, his father's spirit, his standards, his discipline, and his unyielding belief in hard work were always with him. Dwayne's decision to not just step into wrestling, but to revolutionize it, was built on these very ideals. And every time he stepped into the ring, whether it was as The Rock or as himself, he carried that legacy proudly. But let's pause here and really understand something critical. For Dwayne, Rocky wasn't just a mentor or a father. He was the first true embodiment of strength, both physical and emotional. He showed Dwayne that being strong didn't just mean being physically powerful. It meant showing up when things got tough, sticking to your principles, and never, ever backing down. And that, right there, was the seed for everything Dwayne would later accomplish. As Dwayne's career began to soar, first in wrestling, then in Hollywood, it wasn't just the fame or the financial success that drove him. It was that constant push to make his father proud, to embody the same qualities that Rocky had instilled in him. And through it all, there was one lesson that stood out more than any other. You don't have to be perfect to be great. Rocky Johnson had taught his son that being authentic, being true to yourself, and continuing to fight for your goals, no matter what obstacles stand in your way, that was the real definition of success. Now, let's look at the full circle moment in their story. As Dwayne reached the pinnacle of his wrestling career, and then transitioned into acting, a moment of reflection came. In 2015, Dwayne took to Instagram to honor his late father, Rocky, with a post that not only celebrated Rocky's legacy, but also the relationship they had, one that was shaped by both love and challenge. Dwayne shared how he wished his father could have seen all he had achieved, and in a very real way, he knew that even though Rocky wasn't physically there, his father's lessons and values were always guiding him. See, the thing about family is that it's never just about the moments when you're together. It's about how those moments shape who you become. For Dwayne, his father's influence was his blueprint for everything. And even when things got tough, even when the path was unclear, the words of Rocky Johnson echoed in his mind, pushing him forward. Don't let them tell you what you can't do. And that's the mark of a great father. Not one who just gives you everything, but one who prepares you to face the world, to take on challenges, and to never let fear stop you. Let's step back for a moment and look at Dwayne Johnson's early years, before the fame, before the lights of Hollywood, and before the world knew him as The Rock. The truth is, those years were far from easy. Dwayne's life was one marked by constant movement, change, and the kind of unpredictability that many young children just don't experience. And it all began with his father's career. As we've talked about, Rocky Johnson, Dwayne's dad, was a professional wrestler, and his career wasn't a typical 9-to-5 job. In fact, it was the exact opposite. Rocky's job was demanding, physically exhausting, and required him to be on the road for long stretches. It meant that Dwayne, as a young boy, couldn't settle in one place for long. His childhood was shaped by what we might call the traveling lifestyle, always packing up, moving to a new town, a new school, a new set of friends, and a new challenge waiting at every turn. Now, imagine being a kid, just starting to build your identity and figure out who you are, but constantly being uprooted. It's tough. Moving from place to place meant that Dwayne had to adapt quickly, and that's something a lot of kids don't experience. It wasn't just about getting used to new homes or new cities. It was about constantly adjusting to new environments, new people, and the sense that no place was ever permanent. It's the kind of struggle that forces you to grow up fast, and Dwayne did just that. There was one moment in particular that stands out when Dwayne was living in Honolulu, Hawaii. His father's job took them there for a period of time. And for Dwayne, it was just another stop in a long line of places that never quite felt like home. He was still a teenager at the time, and as a young kid, adjusting to new places was hard enough. But as a teenager, it was even more difficult. He had to find ways to fit in, make new friends, and stay focused on his own path, all while the world around him felt like it was in constant motion. Because of his father's career, Dwayne didn't have the luxury of staying in one place long enough to truly feel rooted. And that can be tough on a kid, especially when you're trying to find your place in the world. But as we look back, it's clear that this instability wasn't just a challenge. It was a gift in disguise. Moving frequently meant Dwayne learned the skill of adaptability early on. He had to quickly get used to new faces, new schools, and a new way of life wherever they went. And more importantly, he learned to be resilient in the face of change. One of the first things Dwayne learned from all of his constant moving was the importance of self-reliance. There was no one around him to do the heavy lifting when it came to fitting in or adjusting to a new life. Dwayne had to learn how to make friends quickly, how to read people, and how to adapt to new social settings. Whether he was in a small town or a big city, Dwayne developed a strong sense of independence. He became skilled at navigating new environments, something that would serve him well in the years to come. His early struggles weren't just about the challenges of constantly moving. It was about the emotional toll it took, too. While other kids might have had the stability of staying in one place, Dwayne was always a new kid, the one who had to make new friends and prove himself over and over again. This constant reinvention wasn't easy, but it gave him a deep sense of empathy for others, especially those who might feel like outsiders. It also helped him develop a deep sense of gratitude for moments when things did settle, when he found a place that felt like home, even if it was for a brief time. There's a powerful lesson in all of this, the idea that growth often comes from discomfort. Dwayne's life, especially his childhood, wasn't about perfection or smooth sailing. It was about learning to deal with adversity. It was about learning how to face uncertainty head-on and come out stronger on the other side. This became one of the cornerstones of Dwayne's character, his ability to remain adaptable and resilient, no matter what life threw at him. And that ability to adapt would prove to be more important than anything else as Dwayne entered adulthood. As a teenager, he moved again, this time to a different city, finally settling in the United States with his family. The journey was long, but it taught him something invaluable: how to face the unknown with a sense of confidence, and how to trust in his ability to handle whatever came his way. Of course, the instability of constantly moving didn't make things any easier when it came to his education and his personal growth. In fact, Dwayne himself has often mentioned how he struggled to find a solid footing in school, not just because of the frequent moves, but because of the weight of expectations that came with being Rocky Johnson's son. But what many didn't know at the time was that those challenges were shaping him in ways he didn't even fully understand. The need to work harder, to push through adversity, and to never back down, these qualities, which he'd learned in the crucible of his childhood struggles, would later fuel his rise to stardom. But perhaps the most important thing that came out of Dwayne's early struggles was the realization that nothing in life is guaranteed. The constant moving forced him to confront uncertainty at an early age. And it's this very uncertainty that would drive him later in life, both in his career and personal decisions. It taught him the value of hard work, the importance of forging his own path, and the necessity of overcoming challenges with dignity and determination. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has always been open about how his early experiences profoundly shaped his worldview, work ethic, and resilience. His childhood was far from traditional, filled with constant moves and family struggles that tested his emotional strength from a very young age. His father, Rocky Johnson, a legendary figure in professional wrestling, had a demanding career that required the family to move frequently, uprooting young Dwayne from one environment to the next. This kind of instability, as he describes, was not easy to handle at first, but it forged his character in ways that would later become foundational to his success. One of the most revealing moments Dwayne has shared about his childhood comes from a 2015 interview with The Graham Norton Show, where he speaks candidly about the emotional toll these frequent relocations took on him. He explained, "I don't think you realize how much it impacts you until you're older. At the time, I didn't really know what I was feeling. I just knew I had to survive." But now I look back and think about how often we moved, how I had to make new friends every few years, and how that shaped me. It made me tough. It made me adaptable. This quote encapsulates Dwayne's ability to reflect on his past with clarity and understanding, acknowledging the emotional strain, but also recognizing how it contributed to his emotional intelligence and resilience. In another more recent interview, Dwayne described how moving from place to place made him feel like an outsider, someone who had to constantly prove his worth, even in the most basic ways, like fitting in with new friends and new schools. It was a defense mechanism. Dwayne shared, speaking about his need to adapt. I had to constantly reinvent myself, make myself likable, and show people I was worth their time. It wasn't easy, but it taught me how to navigate the world on my own terms. This idea of self-reinvention, of being forced to step into a new role with each move, played a key part in shaping who Dwayne would become. Someone who, even now, constantly evolves, whether in the wrestling ring, on the big screen, or in his business ventures. The emotional impact of these moves wasn't just about adjusting socially. Dwayne has often spoken about how it affected his relationship with his father. The need to move for Rocky Johnson's career meant that Dwayne was often separated from his extended family and roots, which left him with a sense of loneliness and longing. I remember how much I missed being around my cousins, my family, people I knew and loved. Dwayne once said in an interview with People magazine, "But that's part of the life we had to lead. My dad was doing what he loved, and I had to respect that, but it made me feel different." This emotional experience, particularly the sense of isolation, became a defining part of Dwayne's childhood. The constant change made him feel disconnected at times, and this sense of being emotionally untethered stayed with him through his youth. The significance of this early emotional turmoil will become clearer in Dwayne's adult life. In interviews, he's often remarked on how these early experiences taught him to be emotionally resilient. As he grew older and entered into sports and eventually professional wrestling, Dwayne realized that the ability to keep pushing forward, no matter the obstacles, came from this emotional foundation built during his childhood. "I had to build an emotional armor," he said in an interview with Variety. "Growing up with all that instability made me realize that you can't always control your surroundings, but you can control how you respond to them. You can't control how many times you have to pick up and leave, but you can control the mindset you have when you do." In a more personal moment during his behind-the-scenes series on his social media, Dwayne reflected on how he often uses emotional experiences to fuel his work ethic. "There were times I didn't feel I had a lot of support, but I used that to fuel me," he said. "I told myself, you might not be able to control all the variables, but you can outwork anyone." The impact of his childhood experiences, being forced to move and adapt repeatedly, helped him develop a relentless drive that he carries with him today. He learned early that success wasn't just about talent. It was about persistence and the emotional fortitude to keep going, even when the odds were stacked against him. Despite the challenges, Dwayne's experiences with his father, Rocky Johnson, were also foundational in other ways. While their relationship wasn't always smooth, especially during the periods of struggle when Dwayne was younger, Dwayne has often spoken with great respect and admiration for his father's toughness and work ethic. "My dad taught me so much, even when I didn't realize it," Dwayne reflected in his GQ interview. He didn't have the easiest life, and he worked incredibly hard to get to where he was. His journey wasn't without sacrifice, and I saw that. It stuck with me. Dwayne often credits his father's influence for teaching him the importance of hard work, discipline, and grit, traits that became key components of his own philosophy for success. At the same time, however, Dwayne has also shared the emotional challenges he faced in their relationship, particularly in his teenage years when he was trying to understand his father's career and his own place in the world. "There's a lot of anger in me, because I didn't always understand why my dad had to travel so much, why we had to move so often. But later I got it. I understood why he did what he did." Dwayne said his understanding of his father's sacrifices and struggles evolved as he grew older, which further deepened his respect for the man who had such a significant role in shaping his life. This complex father-son dynamic, the love, the sacrifice, the emotional toll, and the respect, would go on to influence Dwayne's own journey as a father. As Dwayne transitioned from professional wrestling to Hollywood, he also began to embrace a more public persona as a family man. sharing his journey as a father of 3. He has often spoken about how much he values family, especially as he reflects on his own father's sacrifices. "Family is everything to me," Dwayne emphasized in another People magazine feature. "I saw how much my dad gave up for his career, and now that I'm a father, I want to make sure I'm there for my kids in ways that my dad couldn't be there for me." These experiences, of moving constantly, of learning from his father's mistakes and triumphs, helped shape Dwayne into the family-focused individual he is today, blending his career with a profound dedication to being present for his loved ones. Now, we take a closer look at the era that electrified millions, his wrestling career. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's wrestling career is one of the most iconic and transformative in sports entertainment history. His journey from a rookie with a famous last name to one of the most electrifying personalities in the history of professional wrestling is nothing short of legendary. The Rock's career didn't just change his life, it changed the face of wrestling itself. His story is filled with key moments, matches, and rivalries that built his reputation and made him a household name across the globe. The beginning of his wrestling journey can be traced back to the mid-1990s, when Dwayne Johnson first stepped into the WWE, then WWF ring. Initially introduced as Rocky Maivia, a tribute to both his father and his grandfather, both legendary wrestlers, his character was the epitome of a babyface, a good guy. Fans quickly saw him as a clean-cut, smiling all-American hero. However, despite being a third-generation wrestler, Rocky Maivia didn't immediately connect with the audience. He was seen as too polished, too perfect, and unfortunately, his character didn't resonate with fans who preferred grittier, more rebellious figures in the ring. His early matches, though technically sound, lacked the flair and intensity that the WWE audience was craving. But it was this early struggle that set the stage for the transformation that would define his career. In 1997, Dwayne Johnson made the pivotal decision to shed the Rocky Maivia persona and reinvent himself as The Rock. This shift from the clean-cut babyface to a cocky, arrogant villain, a heel in wrestling terminology, was a game-changer. The Rock was everything fans loved to hate. He was brash, he was charismatic, and he had an undeniable aura of confidence that practically oozed from his promos. His transformation was gradual but incredibly impactful. As The Rock, he began to tap into the energy of the audience, feeding off their reactions, whether they love him or loathe him. He embraced his inner trash talker, using sharp wit and humor in interviews and promos that became instantly memorable. One of the key moments that solidified The Rock as a household name was his participation in the legendary Attitude Era of the late 1990s and early 2000s. During this time, the WWE was undergoing a massive cultural shift, moving away from the more family-friendly content of previous years and embracing edgier, more controversial storylines. The Rock, with his larger-than-life personality and gift for cutting promos, was a perfect fit for this new direction. The Rock's rivalry with Stone Cold Steve Austin became one of the most talked-about storylines in wrestling history. Their clashes, particularly at the WrestleMania events, captivated audiences in ways that transcended traditional wrestling feuds. The Rock's feud with Austin culminated in their epic showdown at WrestleMania 15 in 1999, where Austin defeated The Rock to win the WWF Championship. This was the start of a heated rivalry that would continue to evolve over the next few years. The chemistry between the two men was undeniable, and their contrasting personas, Austin's rebellious, beer-drinking anti-hero against The Rock's self-absorbed, trash-talking villain, drove fans into a frenzy. These moments became some of the most iconic in wrestling history, and their rivalry carried the WWE into the mainstream, increasing its popularity and solidifying both men's legacies. However, it wasn't just Austin that helped elevate The Rock. His rivalries with other wrestling legends also played a major role in shaping his career. Perhaps no other rivalry stands out more than The Rock's ongoing feud with Triple H, another powerhouse of the WWE. The Rock and Triple H's matches, including their legendary SummerSlam 1998 encounter, were high-octane, intense affairs that showcased the best of both competitors. The Rock's persona as the people's champion was in full force during this time, and his connection with the fans, who chanted his name, wore his merchandise, and adored him for his unrelenting charisma, was palpable. But it was his matches against The Undertaker, Kurt Angle, and Mankind that truly displayed the range of his abilities in the ring. These were not just wrestling matches. They were storylines that captivated audiences and kept them on the edge of their seats. The Rock's in-ring style was a unique blend of athleticism and charisma, and he proved time and time again that he was not just a talker. He could back up his word with incredible performances. One of the most memorable moments in The Rock's career was the WrestleMania 17 main event in 2001, where he faced Stone Cold Steve Austin in a no disqualification match. This match is often cited as one of the greatest matches of all time. The drama, the intensity, and the raw emotion displayed in the match captivated the wrestling world. What made this match even more significant was the shocking turn of events during the final moments. In a moment that would alter the course of WWE history, Vince McMahon, who had previously been one of Austin's greatest enemies, made a surprise appearance to help Austin win the match. This unexpected twist shocked fans and left them buzzing long after the match ended. But while his rivalries and matches were unforgettable, what really elevated The Rock to an unparalleled level of fame were his promos and interviews. The Rock's gift for speaking was unmatched in the world of wrestling. His iconic catchphrases, like, "If you smell what The Rock is cooking," and "to the people's elbow," became cultural phenomena. These lines were not just about hype. They were an extension of his personality, a way for him to engage with the crowd and build connections with his audience. Every promo The Rock cut was filled with humor, charisma, and undeniable confidence. His ability to make even the most mundane situation entertaining was what set him apart from other wrestlers. It wasn't just his ability to talk trash that made him so electrifying. It was the way he could connect with the audience. The Rock had an innate ability to read the crowd and adjust his approach based on their reactions, whether they were cheering him on or booing him mercilessly. He knew exactly how to play to them. His interactions with the crowd were pure magic, and they were a testament to his understanding of the business and his role as a performer. The Rock's journey from being a rookie under a legendary name to becoming one of the biggest stars in the world of wrestling is a story of transformation and perseverance. His early struggles, when he wasn't connected with the audience, gave way to his ultimate success. The Rock proved that with the right combination of talent, charisma, and hard work, he could overcome any obstacle. His ability to adapt, grow, and evolve as a performer made him a beloved figure in the wrestling world and beyond. It was his genuine love for the craft, combined with his ability to entertain and connect with fans, that turned The Rock into a cultural phenomenon. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's journey from being a villainous heel to becoming a beloved fan favorite hero is nothing short of legendary. This transition was not a simple shift, but rather a brilliant evolution of his character that turned him into one of the most electrifying figures in sports entertainment. His ability to connect with audiences, draw them into his world, and make them believe his journey is what truly set him apart from others in the industry. But this transformation wasn't an overnight success. It was a combination of wrestling skill, charisma, and, perhaps most importantly, the ability to adapt to the ever-changing landscape of the WWE. When he first entered the ring as Rocky Maivia, he was a clean-cut All-American, good guy babyface. The fans weren't quite sure how to react to him at first. He was the son of the legendary Rocky Johnson and the grandson of Peter Maivia, both of whom had carved out their own legacies in the wrestling world. Dwayne was given this heroic persona to honor his family's legacy, but despite his impressive lineage and obvious athleticism, the fans weren't buying it. He was too perfect, too clean, and they quickly started to turn on him. The fans, known for their love of true personalities, were connecting with the shiny, squeaky clean image of Rocky Maivia. But the turning point came when Dwayne, who had previously been pushed as a hero, embraced his role as a villain. This shift happened gradually. He began to adopt a more arrogant, cocky attitude, and what became the famous catchphrase, "Know your role and shut your mouth." It was this new attitude that marked his evolution into The Rock, a villain who could captivate the audience not through his heroism, but through his sheer charisma and ability to work the crowd. As a heel, The Rock's work became a masterclass in how to manipulate the audience. He would taunt, belittle, and mock his opponents and the fans alike. His cocky swagger, combined with his sharp wit, made him a character people loved to hate, but they couldn't help but admire his confidence. His interviews became legendary for their brashness, with The Rock delivering his lines with a kind of intensity and flair that was unmatched. He would often be heard saying things like, "If you smell what The Rock is cooking," or "It doesn't matter what you think." Lines that became part of pop culture and were chanted by audiences worldwide. But it was his ability to connect with the fans that truly made The Rock stand out. Even as a villain, he had this magnetic presence that made it impossible for the audience to ignore him. Every time he grabbed a microphone, he took control of the crowd. Whether they were cheering or booing, they were reacting, and that was all that mattered. The Rock was the definition of a character that was impossible to forget. His interviews were often filled with humorous jabs at his opponents, but also with a deep understanding of what made wrestling fans tick. He knew when to turn on the charm and when to be the arrogant heel, making him a master of his craft. The pivotal moment that truly solidified The Rock's status as a fan-favorite hero came during the infamous rivalry with Stone Cold Steve Austin. This rivalry wasn't just about the matches. It was about the personalities. Austin, the beer-drinking, rebellious anti-hero, was a perfect foil to The Rock's cocky, larger-than-life persona. Their clashes at WrestleMania, especially their matches at WrestleMania 17 and WrestleMania 19, were epic and filled with raw emotion. But more than just the in-ring action, it was the storytelling that made these battles unforgettable. The Rock wasn't just a heel anymore. He was evolving in real time before the audience's eyes. Fans started to see a different side of him. He wasn't just about putting on a show for them to boo. He had a heart, a passion for wrestling, and a deep connection to the crowd. By the time The Rock faced Austin in their final WrestleMania showdown, the transition was complete. The Rock had gone from a hated heel to one of the most beloved faces in WWE history. Fans weren't just cheering for him because they hated his opponent. They were cheering for him because they wanted to see him succeed. His charisma was undeniable, and his ability to make every fan feel like they were part of his journey was extraordinary. His signature promos, delivered with that signature eyebrow raise and infectious energy, made him a hero not because he was perfect, but because he was authentic. In interviews, The Rock often reflected on how he had evolved throughout his career. He has said that the most important lesson he learned was the importance of connecting with the audience. He once remarked, "The crowd doesn't lie. They will either love you or they will boo you, but they will never lie to you." And that's the magic of this business, being able to connect with people in a way that makes them feel something real. The Rock had tapped into that magic, and it became his superpower. Memorable interviews like the one where he delivered the famous line, "It doesn't matter what your name is," to the audience cemented his status as a master of wrestling promos. Fans could relate to him because of his authenticity, even when he was portraying a villain. They didn't just see a wrestler, they saw someone who understood them, who knew how to entertain and make them feel involved. When The Rock switched gears from being the arrogant villain to the beloved hero, it wasn't just his in-ring skills that made the difference. It was his understanding of the audience and his ability to evolve with them. In those unforgettable interviews, The Rock would often say things that felt like they were coming straight from the heart. He spoke to the fans as if he were speaking to an old friend, always aware that his audience was a reason he had achieved success. His charisma wasn't just an act. It was a part of who he was, and that is what truly made The Rock the wrestling legend he became. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's wrestling journey began in a way that didn't exactly scream superstar. In fact, his early days in the ring were filled with more struggles than success. When he first made his WWE debut, Dwayne didn't come in as the electrifying persona that would eventually dominate the wrestling world. Instead, he stepped into the ring as Rocky Maivia, a name that paid homage to his father, Rocky Johnson, and his grandfather, Peter Maivia, both iconic figures in the wrestling world. Rocky Maivia was everything the fans expected from a good guy wrestler. He was clean-cut, respectful, a hero in the eyes of the WWE's audience. But the problem was, the fans didn't want a hero who was perfect. They didn't want someone with a picture-perfect persona. They wanted someone they could relate to, someone real, someone who wasn't afraid to be themselves. And that's where Dwayne hit his first major challenge. No matter how hard he tried, fans weren't buying to the Rocky Maivai character. And for the first time in his wrestling career, he faced a harsh reality that success wasn't handed to him on a silver platter. Instead of staying locked in a role that wasn't resonating with the audience, Dwayne saw this as an opportunity to evolve. Instead of giving up, he pivoted. He dropped the clean-cut hero image and embraced a more authentic persona. And in doing so, he became The Rock. But let's be clear, this wasn't an immediate success. Dwayne didn't just throw on a new character and have the world fall in love with him. No, The Rock had to work for it. And he worked harder than most could imagine. He made the shift from being a fan-favorite good guy to a brash, cocky villain, or heel, as they say in wrestling terms. The moment he became The Rock, he began to embrace everything that made him different from his earlier self. He didn't just become a heel. He became a persona that was unapologetically bold, brash, and in your face. The Rock was larger than life. He wasn't just a wrestler. He was a showman, a talker, and a fighter. And this shift was powerful. It was exactly what the fans had been waiting for. It was real, raw, and absolutely electrifying. But it wasn't just about the flashy character or the catchphrases. No, Dwayne's genius lay in the way he understood the fans. He connected with them. Sure, he insulted people. Sure, he showed up with arrogance that was undeniable. But he did it in a way that the audience loved. He became a villain who they could not only love to hate, but also respect. The charisma was undeniable. Every time The Rock stepped onto the stage, fans were captivated. Then came the rivalries, some of the most legendary matchups in WWE history. Chief among them was his feud with Stone Cold Steve Austin. This wasn't just a wrestling match. It was an all-out war. These two men had a rivalry that went beyond the physical. It was a war of words, egos, and personalities. When you think of The Rock's rise, you can't help but think about the epic matches against Austin. The storytelling in these matches was phenomenal. It wasn't just about moves and holds. It was about the drama, the tension, and the build-up. These matches were not just physical contests. They were emotional, high-stakes battles. And the audience, they couldn't get enough. But what truly made The Rock a household name wasn't just the rivalries. It was his ability to talk. His interviews, his promos, the way he could manipulate the audience with his words. These were all critical parts of his success. No one could cut a promo quite like The Rock. Whether he was trash-talking his opponent, hyping up a match, or simply messing with the crowd, his words were always on point. They were sharp, witty, and full of personality. And the audience ate it up. One of his most memorable phrases, "If you smell what The Rock is cooking," became a catchphrase that fans screamed at the top of their lungs. But what made it work wasn't just the words, it was the delivery. The Rock had a way of saying things that made people listen, that made them feel like they were part of something bigger. And it was in those moments, with the crowd chanting his name, that Dwayne realized he had something special. What made The Rock stand out from so many other wrestlers was how he evolved. He didn't just stay stuck in the role of the villain. Over time, The Rock began to transition into a fan favorite, a hero, one of the most beloved figures in the history of the WWE. But it wasn't a sudden change. No, this was a gradual shift. The fans saw the real Dwayne behind the character, and they began to embrace him for who he was. Not just as a villain or hero, but as someone they could relate to. It's almost like they began to see past the persona and saw the person beneath it. And that's what made The Rock so incredibly powerful. He wasn't just a character. He was someone they respected. He was someone who fought for what he believed in, who showed up every day to give his best, and who never backed down. Now, this wasn't without its challenges. Dwayne had to face personal struggles, the weight of his family's wrestling legacy, and his own doubts. But through it all, he kept his eyes on the prize. He kept working, improving, and refining his craft. And as he did, the fans began to appreciate him even more. They saw the real Dwayne Johnson, the man who wasn't afraid to take risks, who wasn't afraid to be himself, and who wasn't afraid to fail. And that was the moment he truly became The Rock. But what truly solidified his place in wrestling history was not just his in-ring ability, but his ability to make the fans feel something. Whether he was insulting his opponents, hyping up a match, or getting a crowd to chant his name. He knew how to connect. He knew how to tell a story with every word, every gesture, and every move. The Rock was more than just a wrestler. He was a storyteller, and he mastered that art. It was this combination of in-ring talent, personality, and connection with the audience that made him the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. By the time The Rock's wrestling career began to wind down, he had already cemented his legacy. But more than that, he has shown the world that no matter where you start, no matter the struggles you face, you can rise to greatness. Let's move on to the bright lights and boardrooms, his transition to Hollywood. When Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson made the jump from the squared circle of professional wrestling to the glittering world of Hollywood, many questioned whether he could transition successfully. The wrestling world had seen some athletes attempt to leap to acting, but few had managed to cross over in a way that didn't seem forced or unnatural. Johnson, however, was about to do what many thought was impossible. He would become a global movie star. But it wasn't as simple as just jumping from one career to the next. It was a journey filled with doubts, criticism, and moments where he wondered if he had made the right decision. When The Rock first signed on to act in The Mummy Returns 2001, his role as the Scorpion King was a small part of the film. However, the character quickly became so popular that it led to a spin-off of its own. In fact, the role of the Scorpion King would end up being Dwayne's first real venture into Hollywood, and it's here where we see the very first hints of his ability to take something relatively small and turn it into a major success. But despite the success of that character, it wasn't easy for him to make the decision to step away from wrestling and focus fully on acting. In his interviews, Dwayne has spoken candidly about the fear and doubts that plague him early in his acting career. He remembers thinking, "What if I'm just a wrestler who can't act?" Wrestling fans were fiercely loyal, but transitioning to acting meant he had to prove himself in a completely new environment. At first, the feedback wasn't always positive. Critics questioned his acting abilities, dismissing him as just another muscle-bound action star with little to offer in terms of depth or talent. But if there's one thing that The Rock has always shown, it's resilience. He wasn't going to let the doubters stop him. One of the ways he was able to overcome those fears and criticisms was by immersing himself in each role he took on. In The Mummy Returns, for example, Dwayne wasn't just stepping into a simple role as an action hero. He understood that to really make an impact in Hollywood, he had to build a connection with the audience, just as he'd done in the wrestling ring. This was the moment where he began to carve out a new identity for himself, not just as a wrestler turned actor, but as someone who could take on roles that were as diverse as they were entertaining. But it wasn't just about the individual movies he was in. It was about how Dwayne began to shape entire franchises. Take Fast and Furious as an example. When The Rock joined the franchise in Fast 5 2011, he didn't just add another action star to the mix. He helped elevate the entire franchise. His portrayal of Luke Hobbs, a tough, no-nonsense federal agent, injected a new level of energy into the already successful series. But his role was more than just a brawny, muscle-bound character. He brought with him an intensity and charisma that fans loved. Fast and Furious was already a popular franchise, but with The Rock's involvement, it took on an entirely new dimension. It was as if his character became the perfect foil for the fast-paced, high-octane action that defined the series. His physical presence, combined with his impeccable timing and ability to land the perfect line at the right moment, made him an integral part of the movie's success. But beyond that, Dwayne understood that his participation in these franchises wasn't just about filling the screen with his star power. It was about adding value, creating something that resonated with people, and helping tell a compelling story that would stand the test of time. Another example of Dwayne's ability to shape successful films was his role in Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle 2017. While this was a reboot of the beloved 1995 classic, it had the potential to fall flat without the right cast. Dwayne's commitment to making the film work was clear from the start. Not only did he have an enormous amount of fun with his role, but he helped the entire ensemble cast, Kevin Hart, Jack Black, and Karen Gillan, find their rhythm and make the film an ensemble success. The movie became a massive global hit, and it was clear that the magic of the original was kept alive, but with a fresh new spin that audiences adored. What stood out about Dwayne's approach to Jumanji was his willingness to take risks. He didn't just play a role, he brought something personal to it. There was a charm to his performance that made him relatable to audiences, something that wasn't always seen in his earlier, more action-heavy roles. In interviews, Dwayne has spoken about how he wanted to bring something more than just a larger-than-life performance to these movies. He wanted to bring heart, humor, and a real connection with the audience. Another important factor in Dwayne's transition to Hollywood was how he carefully chose roles that aligned with his values. He wasn't just looking for roles that would make him money or build his fame. He was looking for opportunities where he could make a difference, where the messages of the films aligned with the things that mattered to him personally. For example, in movies like The Game Plan, 2007, and Tooth Fairy, 2010, Dwayne leaned into family-friendly films that showcase his ability to connect with audiences of all ages. These roles allowed him to show a different side of himself, one that wasn't just about brute strength or action, but also about heart and humor. Dwayne's decision to align his roles with his values became increasingly clear in the years that followed. In the 2020s, he took on roles that didn't just cater to his growing fame, but also allowed him to promote messages of resilience, strength, and self-belief, values that he embodied in his own life. For instance, in Hobbs and Shaw, 2019, a spin-off of the Fast and Furious franchise, Dwayne's character is a man who constantly fights for what he believes in, no matter the odds stacked against him. It was a role that mirrored his own life, a life full of challenges, growth, and relentless pursuit of success. Beyond the movies, Dwayne's journey to Hollywood was also about his presence off the screen. He embraced the role of producer and began to shape not only the movies he appeared in, but the entire process of filmmaking. His production company, 7 Buck Productions, has been behind a number of major projects, including the Jumanji films and the Titan Games 2020. His business acumen and work ethic became as well known as his acting career, and his transition into Hollywood was complete when he realized that his influence could extend beyond just acting. All of this, his ability to adapt, the roles he chose, and the impact he had on the industry, showed that Dwayne Johnson wasn't just a wrestler trying to make it in Hollywood. He was a visionary, a multifaceted entertainer who understood that to make a lasting impact, you had to be more than just one thing. He had to be a leader in every project, a person who could bring people together, inspire, and entertain with every performance. Let's take a deeper dive into Dwayne Johnson's Hollywood journey, particularly those groundbreaking moments and behind-the-scenes stories that helped shape his legacy in the entertainment world. When The Mummy Returns was released in 2001, Dwayne Johnson was still very much known as The Rock from his wrestling days. But here he was, making his big screen debut as the Scorpion King, and little did anyone know at the time, this would mark the beginning of a legacy that would solidify his place as one of Hollywood's biggest action stars. Behind the scenes, Johnson wasn't just about acting. He was working hard to prove himself as a versatile performer. The film's director, Stephen Sommers, had a lot of faith in Dwayne, despite his being relatively new to the world of Hollywood acting. There was initial pressure on him. Some critics were skeptical, and there were whispers about his ability to transition from wrestling to the silver screen. But Johnson's relentless determination and his undeniable charisma began to shine through. He wasn't just another action hero. He brought something different to the table. The Scorpion King, while a villain, had this undeniable charm that people couldn't ignore. Dwayne's performance struck a chord, making the character one of the most memorable parts of The Mummy Returns, which led to his own spin-off film, The Scorpion King. In 2002, this was his first leading role, and he poured everything he had into it, proving that he could be more than just a wrestler turned actor. But let's not forget about the role that truly catapulted him into global superstardom, Fast and Furious. In 2011, Dwayne joined the Fast and Furious franchise as Luke Hobbs, a no-nonsense federal agent. At the time, the franchise was already big, but after his introduction, it went into overdrive, both in terms of box office earnings and fan excitement. Behind the scenes, Dwayne played a pivotal role in revamping the direction of the series. He brought a new energy to the movie, and it's no secret that his character became a fan favorite. Dwayne himself has talked about how much fun it was to be a part of the Fast and Furious family. But what's even more interesting is how he was able to seamlessly blend into an already established group. Initially, the franchise had a very different vibe, with street racing at its core. But when Dwayne joined, it was like flipping a switch. The movie became even bigger, with more heart-pounding action, high-octane stunts, and a storyline that involved more global stakes. His introduction revitalized the franchise, and it soon became one of the highest-grossing film franchises in history. There's an amazing behind-the-scenes story about Fast and Furious 7, when they had to cope with the sudden and tragic passing of Paul Walker. Dwayne has opened up about how tough that was, not only losing a close friend, but also figuring out how to continue to film while maintaining the heart of the franchise. He remembers the emotional atmosphere on set, where the cast and crew rallied together, supporting each other through the unimaginable. And through that process, Dwayne's leadership was integral in helping everyone stay focused on honoring Paul's memory, while delivering a film that still paid homage to the values of family that Fast and Furious had come to represent. And then, of course, there's Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, 2017. When Dwayne took on the role of Dr. Smolder Bravestone, he was walking into a remake of a beloved 1995 classic. There were doubts, naturally. Could this new version live up to the original? Could he make it his own? The answer came in a big way. Dwayne's comedic timing in the role was pure gold. He not only brought laughs, but also added a sense of depth to the character. On set, Dwayne had a blast with his co-stars, Kevin Hart, Karen Gillan, and Jack Black. Their chemistry was undeniable, and it translated into what became one of the highest-grossing comedies of all time. Dwayne has mentioned in interviews that the movie was a complete joy to make because they were all just having fun. They didn't want to just retell the story. They wanted to build something that would capture the spirit of adventure, fun, and camaraderie. And they did just that. What's fascinating is how Dwayne approached these roles. He wasn't just choosing projects with paycheck or the fame. He was strategic about it. He was selecting movies that resonated with his values. For example, in Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, the message of teamwork and personal growth was something Dwayne deeply connected with. It wasn't just about being the action star. It was about encouraging people to push through challenges, be themselves, and find their strength, and he wanted to use his platform to promote those messages. Behind the scenes, Dwayne was also working hard on other aspects of his career. He knew that the industry was changing, and with the rise of streaming services and digital platforms, it was crucial to adapt. His role in shaping global franchises wasn't just about the films he was in, it was about how he was using his personal brand to shape the very nature of the projects he took on. Dwayne Johnson's career in Hollywood was never a case of simply transitioning from wrestling to acting. It was about evolving, adapting, and pushing past every obstacle that came his way. And with each movie, with each franchise, he didn't just add to his list of accolades. He shaped the entertainment landscape in a way that few have ever been able to do. As Dwayne Johnson's Hollywood career progressed, it became clear that he was not just taking roles for the sake of fame or fortune. He was carefully selecting projects that resonated with him on a deeper level, aligning with his personal values and the messages he wanted to promote through his work. It was never just about playing the toughest, most muscular guy on screen. It was about embodying characters who were more than just action heroes. Dwayne wanted to tell stories that inspired, motivated, and spoke to a sense of purpose. One of the most remarkable aspects of Dwayne's career is how he approached his role selection. While many actors are known for taking roles based on their potential box office success, Dwayne was deliberate in choosing projects that allowed him to have a meaningful impact. He often speaks about how important it is for him to portray characters who stand for something greater than themselves. Characters who embody resilience, leadership, and, above all, a strong sense of responsibility. Take, for example, his portrayal of Hobbs in the Fast and Furious franchise. While the series was always known for its high-octane action and fast cars, Dwayne's character, Luke Hobbs, became a symbol of loyalty, honor, and importance of family. These weren't just throwaway qualities. They were integral to Dwayne's personal brand, which was grounded in the belief that family is everything, both in film and in real life. In interviews, Dwayne has shared that when he first joined the Fast and Furious series, he was drawn to Hobbs because of his strong moral compass. The character wasn't just a tough guy. He was someone who valued relationships, and above all, he understood the significance of teamwork. This theme of unity and family was something Dwayne personally identified with and wanted to project into the world. especially at a time when audiences were looking for heroes who stood for something more than just action. Dwayne's careful role selection also extended to the types of films he chose to be a part of. While he had the ability to take on any action movie, he began to focus on projects that allowed him to explore different dimensions of his character. His role in Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, 2017, is a perfect example of this. In the film, Dwayne portrayed Dr. Smolder Bravestone, an adventure hero in a video game. On the surface, the movie was about fun and action, but underneath the surface, there was an important message about self-discovery and personal growth. Dwayne was particularly drawn to the themes of the film, which resonated with his belief in embracing challenges, overcoming fears, and helping others to realize their potential. He often discusses how the film spoke to a generation that was beginning to question their own identities and their place in the world. For him, the role wasn't just about the adventure. It was about showing people that they had the power to be heroes in their own lives. In another example, Dwayne's involvement with The Game Plan, 2007, a family-friendly comedy where he played a tough football player who discovers he has an 8-year-old daughter, was a reflection of his own evolving personal values. As a father, Dwayne connected deeply with the character's journey of discovering his parental responsibilities and understanding the importance of family. The role was a departure from the typical tough guy persona he had been known for, but Dwayne was drawn to the opportunity to show a more vulnerable side of himself, a side that reflected his real-life experiences as a loving, devoted father. Behind the scenes, Dwayne was also very particular about the messages he wanted to send with his roles. He often talked about how he carefully curates his image to inspire and empower others. He didn't want to be seen just as an action star. He wanted to be someone who could motivate and uplift people, especially those who might be facing their own personal battles. His selection of roles in films like The Rundown, 2003, and Race to Witch Mountain, 2009, further reinforced his desire to bring positivity into his work. These roles, although adventurous and fun, also carried themes of teamwork, bravery, and facing one's fears, values that Dwayne wanted to instill in his audience. He has also been open about his desire to portray roles that promote diversity and representation. As a man of mixed heritage, his father was black and his mother was Samoan, Dwayne has often expressed how important it is for people of all backgrounds to see themselves represented on the big screen. He knows how powerful representation can be, especially for younger generations, and he actively seeks out roles that reflect his commitment to diversity. It's no secret that Dwayne's career has been guided by a philosophy of giving back. He has used his platform not just for his personal growth, but also to shine a light on causes that matter to him. His involvement in projects like Hercules, 2014, allowed him to play a mythological figure who was all about overcoming immense challenges, and that mirrored Dwayne's own philosophy of working through adversity and staying resilient. Even when he plays larger-than-life characters, he's careful to ensure that their journeys align with his own life principles of hard work, perseverance, and loyalty. Every role that Dwayne Johnson takes on is more than just an opportunity to entertain. It's a chance to leave a legacy that speaks to the kind of person he is. With each film, he continues to challenge himself, not just as an actor, but as someone who wants to inspire others to live their best lives. And the beauty of Dwayne Johnson's career isn't just in the box office numbers or the action-packed stunts. It's in the lasting impact he's had on his audience and the messages he's shared with the world. Through his careful role selection, he's not only become a Hollywood icon, he's become a role model for millions of people around the globe. Now, we take a closer look at Dwayne Johnson's business ventures. Dwayne Johnson's journey into the business world is nothing short of inspiring. While many know him as The Rock, the wrestler turned actor, fewer are familiar with the sharp business mind that drives him behind the scenes. His entrepreneurial mindset has allowed him to build not just a career, but a multifaceted empire. From his ownership in 7 Bucks Productions to lucrative partnerships with top-tier brands, Dwayne has seamlessly transitioned from the wrestling ring to the world of business with the same energy and focus that made him a household name in Hollywood. One of the key components of Dwayne's success in business has been his disciplined approach to financial management. This mindset didn't just develop overnight. It was something he cultivated over years, learning from both his own experiences and the lessons taught to him by his father, Rocky Johnson. Dwayne has often spoken about his early financial struggles, even after achieving success in wrestling. At one point, he had only $7 in his bank account, and thus the name $7 Productions was born. The story behind the name is a testament to his resilience and his understanding of the importance of discipline in the face of financial uncertainty. He's candid about how that low point in his life pushed him to rethink his approach to money, to build something sustainable, and to create a brand that could weather any storm. That entrepreneurial mindset didn't just stay within the confines of his wrestling or acting careers. Dwayne has diversified his portfolio in ways that few could have predicted. One of his most notable ventures has been his tequila brand, Terramana Tequila. Launched in 2020, it quickly gained popularity for its authenticity, quality, and Dwayne's personal involvement in its creation. Dwayne took a hands-on approach to the brand, from developing the tequila itself to engaging in the marketing process. He's made it clear that the brand isn't just about making money. It's about sharing something he truly believes in, something that reflects his values of hard work and dedication. His connection with the product is personal. He's been known to promote the tequila with a level of passion that is contagious. He's described Terramana as a symbol of the journey he's been on, from humble beginnings to a place of success and fulfillment. Dwayne's connection to Terramana wasn't just about crafting a product. It was about building a relationship with the audience. Through social media, interviews, and his various platforms, Dwayne has shared the story behind the tequila, including its creation process and the values that went into making it. The brand's success is a testament to how Dwayne has learned to leverage his personal brand and connect with consumers on a deeper level. His authenticity shines through in everything he does, and people have responded to that authenticity, not just with their wallets, but with their loyalty. Alongside Terramana, Dwayne has made waves in the world of fashion and lifestyle through his partnership with Under Armour. The collaboration began with Dwayne wanting to create a line of workout gear that combines style, function, and his own unique personality. The Rock's fitness journey and dedication to staying in top physical shape made him the perfect face for Under Armour, and together they developed a range of products that quickly gained popularity. What's remarkable about this partnership is how much it reflects Dwayne's personal philosophy. He doesn't just promote a product, he promotes a lifestyle. His Under Armour line is a representation of the hard work, dedication, and perseverance that has fueled his career, and it's a message that resonates with people who admire his discipline and work ethic. In interviews, Dwayne has often spoken about how important it is for him to partner with brands that align with his personal values. He's not in the business of promoting just anything. He carefully selects the companies he works with, ensuring that their missions and messages align with his own. That's why his deals with Terramana and Under Armour are such a perfect fit. They both represent his commitment to quality, authenticity, and living a purposeful life. Dwayne's philosophy is clear. He only works with brands that he truly believes in, and that authenticity has been a major factor in his business success. But Dwayne's approach to business goes beyond just selling products. He has used his platform to become a trusted brand ambassador, influencing the way people view not only products, but also what it means to be successful. He has used his story of perseverance to inspire countless entrepreneurs and aspiring business people around the world. His transparency about his own struggles, both financial and personal, has made him relatable to people from all walks of life. He's the epitome of the self-made success story, and he shares that story openly with his fans. Dwayne's impact on the business world is far-reaching, and it's not just about the money. He's become a role model for those looking to build their own careers, showing that success doesn't happen overnight, but with consistent effort, smart decision-making, and the courage to take risks. He continues to use his voice and his influence to encourage others to follow their dreams, take ownership of their financial futures, and most importantly, to believe in their own abilities. Through his ventures, partnerships, and strategic decisions, he's shown that the principles that made him a star in the ring and on the big screen can also lead to success in the business world. And it's not just about building wealth. It's about creating something lasting, something meaningful, and something that can inspire others to do the same. Dwayne Johnson's entrepreneurial journey is a reminder that with the right mindset, discipline, and authenticity, anything is possible. When Dwayne Johnson ventured into the world of business, it wasn't simply about launching products or making investments. His journey was more about making calculated choices that resonated with who he is as a person, the lessons he's learned, and the impact he wanted to create. Through his entrepreneurial pursuits, Dwayne has shown us that success isn't just measured by financial gains, but by how authentically you approach your business ventures. One of the most notable aspects of his business ventures has been his ability to partner with brands and create products that reflect his values. A prime example of this is his tequila brand, Terramana. When Dwayne first began to explore the idea of starting a liquor brand, he didn't want to just slap his name on a bottle. He wanted to create something from the ground up, something that felt real, something that captured his essence. In his own words, "I wanted to create a product that was born from a deep respect for craft of tequila, and that would embody hard work, authenticity, and quality." So, after years of research and commitment, Dwayne launched Terramana in 2020. It was a passion project that quickly became a hit, but it wasn't without its challenges. One of the first hurdles he had to overcome was proving to himself and others that he wasn't just a celebrity trying to cash in on a trend. This brand was personal. Terramana represented everything Dwayne believes in: honesty, integrity, and an unyielding commitment to being the best in whatever you do. He spent time perfecting the recipe, getting involved in the production process, and making sure the brand reflected his own high standards. The tequila wasn't just about making a profit. It was about creating something meaningful. Dwayne didn't want to rush the product to market. He took his time, and once Terramana hit the shelves, it didn't take long for it to become a major player in the spirits industry. He frequently shares stories of his personal connection to the product and how it aligns with his upbringing. There's even a famous moment where Dwayne talks about the first time he tasted the final version of Terramana and how he knew in that moment that the product was something special. What's particularly striking about Dwayne's approach to Terramana is how much he has embedded himself into the narrative. He's not just the face of the brand, he's the heart of it. On social media, in interviews, and through his personal stories, he's allowed his fans and followers to see the human side of the brand. For him, Terramana is about more than the product. It's about telling the story of perseverance and authenticity. It's a story he's living out, and people resonate with that. His collaboration with Under Armour, another key partnership, is also a testament to his business acumen. The deal with Under Armour didn't just involve a standard sponsorship agreement. It was a collaboration born out of shared values. From the start, Dwayne was deeply involved in the design of his own line of clothing and footwear. He's known for his rigorous workout routines and high standards when it comes to fitness. So it made sense for him to partner with a brand that could help bring his vision to life. Together, Dwayne and Under Armour launched products that reflected not only his personal taste and style, but also his commitment to quality and performance. This partnership went beyond typical celebrity endorsement. Dwayne took a hands-on approach in ensuring that the products met his standards for both comfort and durability. It was about helping his fans and followers get access to the same quality products he uses in his own training. The Under Armour gear that bears his name isn't just about looking good in the gym. It's about enhancing performance, whether you're lifting weights, running, or simply working out at home. And much like Terramana, Dwayne's relationship with Under Armour reflects the same level of authenticity. He's not simply marketing a product. He's creating a brand that people can connect with on a personal level. It's a brand that represents determination, hustle, and a desire to push beyond limits. When Dwayne talks about his Under Armour line, you can tell he's invested in more than just selling shoes or apparel. He's invested in inspiring people to reach their full potential. In both of these partnerships, Dwayne Johnson has shown that his business ventures are extensions of his personal brand, what he stands for, how he works, and the values he holds dear. Whether it's through Terramana or Under Armour, the common thread is clear: authenticity, dedication, and hard work. These aren't just products he's promoting. They're symbols of his own journey and an invitation for others to be part of that journey. Through his ventures, Dwayne has built a business empire, but more importantly, he's created a legacy that reflects his true self, one that will resonate with fans and consumers for years to come. Through both his partnerships and his role in shaping each product, Dwayne has effectively connected his business ventures with his personal narrative, ensuring that everything he touches is authentic, well executed, and true to who he is. The success of these ventures has gone beyond just being financially rewarding. They've been meaningful milestones in his ongoing journey. Dwayne Johnson's influence in the business world goes far beyond his acting career. He's become one of the most trusted and sought-after brand ambassadors in the industry. His name alone has become synonymous with success and reliability, making him an ideal partner for companies looking to make a lasting impact. It all started with his ability to connect with people on a level few others could achieve. Whether it's his charismatic personality, his ability to relate to people from all walks of life, or a consistent work ethic, Johnson has built a reputation not just as a successful actor, but as someone who can drive brands to new heights. His personal brand became a massive force in the market, and companies quickly took notice. From the way he engages with his followers on social media to his role as a motivational speaker, Johnson has shown time and again that he knows how to harness his platform effectively. Take his partnership with Under Armour, for example. It's not just about wearing their gear or endorsing their products. It's about his personal connection to the brand and his ability to elevate it beyond the typical celebrity endorsement. Johnson's relationship with Under Armour has always been built on shared values, dedication, hard work, and authenticity. His Project Rock line, with its focus on fitness and determination, has resonated with fans and consumers alike, showcasing his commitment to promoting a healthy, disciplined lifestyle. But his business influence doesn't stop there. His tequila brand, Terramana, is another prime example. It's not just about putting his name on a bottle. Johnson poured his heart into building Terramana from the ground up. He didn't just want to create another celebrity-backed alcohol brand. He wanted to craft something special, something that reflected his values: hard work, craftsmanship, and community. He often shares stories about how he used his personal experiences and relationships to make sure Terramana was more than just another tequila. It became a symbol of his authenticity and dedication to excellence. Johnson's influence also extends his approach to leadership and partnerships. His commitment to authenticity in everything he does has made him a highly respected figure in the business world. Whether it's his ventures in media with $7 Productions or his strategic partnerships in various industries, Johnson's approach has always been one of trust, transparency, and long-term vision. In interviews, Johnson has often spoken about the responsibility he feels to use his platform to help others. He sees his success not as something to be hoarded, but as a tool to inspire and elevate those around him. The most important thing, he said in several interviews, is to use your success to create opportunity for others, to build something that lasts. This mindset has shaped his business ventures, turning them into more than just financial successes, but into platforms that empower others, whether it's through job creation, mentorship, or simply by being a role model for hard work and perseverance. Through his partnership with brands like Under Armour and Terramana, Dwayne Johnson has demonstrated that his influence goes far beyond the silver screen. He has used his platform to reshape what it means to be a celebrity and a business mogul, proving that success in one field can open doors to endless possibilities in another. Coming up, we step away from the spotlight to see the man behind the fame, his personal life. Dwayne Johnson has always been a public figure, someone whose journey has been shared with millions around the world. However, beyond the lights of Hollywood and the spotlight of wrestling rings, his personal life has been a central part of who he is, shaping his every move, decision, and interaction. His relationships, particularly with his daughter, have played a crucial role in his evolution, both as a person and as a public figure. Fatherhood has had a profound impact on Johnson, transforming his approach to life, career, and the values he holds dear. Dwayne has often spoken about how the birth of his daughter, Simone, made him view the world through an entirely different lens. Before becoming a father, his life was primarily driven by his career ambitions and the pursuit of success. But the moment Simone was born, Johnson realized that his priorities needed to change. "I wasn't ready for how much love I could feel," he once shared in an interview about the first time he held his daughter. "It was a game changer. It made me realize what truly matters." His connection with Simone has become one of the defining aspects of his personal life, and it's clear that she's more than just his child. She's a source of constant motivation, a reminder of what he's working for, and a reflection of his values. As he's gone through his life, Johnson has often credited his daughter with teaching him lessons in humility, patience, and unconditional love. Dwayne has also made it clear that being a present and positive father is something he deeply values. Despite his demanding career, he consistently makes time for Simone, whether it's through social media posts or moments captured in their private life. He doesn't just want to be remembered as the action star or the wrestling icon. He wants to be remembered as a great father, someone who was there for his daughter and who showed her the importance of love, hard work, and kindness. His dedication to fatherhood is evident in his actions, and it's clear that the bond between him and Simone goes beyond just a father-daughter dynamic. It's the foundation of who he is today. In addition to his relationship with his daughter, Johnson's growth as a person is something that he's spoken about often. Over the years, he's evolved from the brash, larger-than-life personality of his wrestling days into a more grounded, thoughtful, and reflective figure. His early years in the public eye were filled with a mix of bravado and confidence, but as he grew older and achieved more, his perspective on life began to shift. "I've been very fortunate in my career," he shared in one of his interviews, "but what's more important to me now is how I make people feel. It's not about the titles, the fame, or the money. It's about the impact you leave behind." These words reflect Johnson's transformation. His values have changed from pursuit of individual success to the desire to inspire and uplift others, to lead by example. He's dedicated himself to using his platform to motivate people, whether it's by sharing his own personal struggles or encouraging others to chase their dreams. His influence extends far beyond his career. Through social media, interviews, and public appearances, Dwayne Johnson has shown people what it means to live authentically. He doesn't hide behind facade. He shares his vulnerabilities, his struggles, and his triumphs. Johnson's transparency and authenticity are why millions of people around the world look up to him. He has built a reputation for being real and for staying true to himself. His messages often emphasize perseverance, the importance of family, and the power of believing in oneself. One of the most powerful aspects of Dwayne Johnson's life and legacy is his ability to turn his challenges into opportunities. He's open about his past struggles, including the tough periods of his early life when he was dealing with financial struggles, the pressure of living up to his father's legacy, and the difficulties he faced in trying to carve out his own path in the world. But rather than allowing these challenges to define him negatively, he used them as fuel to drive his success. "I failed so many times in my life, but it's what you do with those failures that makes the difference," he shared in a powerful reflection on his journey. Success isn't about never falling down. It's about getting up every single time. Through his trials and triumphs, Johnson has been able to instill these lessons into the public consciousness. His rise from a struggling football player to one of the most successful and influential men in the entertainment industry is a testament to his resilience and determination. But it's not just about external success. It's about the internal growth he's experienced along the way. As he looks to the future, Johnson has made it clear that he doesn't want to be remembered just for his movies or wrestling accolades. He wants to be remembered for his impact on the world, for the people he's inspired, and for the positive change he's helped create. At the end of the day, he said, "I want people to say, he was a good man, he was a good father, he was someone who made a difference." These words encapsulate everything Dwayne Johnson stands for, a man who has achieved great success, but who values integrity, family, and making a positive impact far more than anything else. Dwayne Johnson's legacy is already deeply entrenched in popular culture. He's become an icon not only for his wrestling and acting careers, but for the way he lives his life. His authenticity, work ethic, and unyielding commitment to his values have shaped not only the industries he's worked in, but also the generations that have grown up watching him. His influence stretches beyond entertainment. It reaches into the hearts and minds of people all over the world, encouraging them to live their truth, work hard, and never give up. Dwayne Johnson's evolution as a person is as striking as his transformation from a college football player to a global superstar. Over the years, he has gone from being a brash, larger-than-life personality to a figure who is deeply reflective and grounded in the values that matter most to him. His growth as an individual is something he speaks about often, and it's clear that he has undergone a profound transformation that has shaped his approach to life, career, and the way he connects with others. One of the most striking aspects of Dwayne's personal growth is how he has transitioned from the confident and sometimes cocky persona he portrayed in his early wrestling days into someone who has a deeper understanding of what truly matters. In the early years, he was all about winning, being the best, and securing his spot in the spotlight. But as his career in both wrestling and Hollywood flourished, he began to develop a broader perspective, one that wasn't just focused on external success, but on internal fulfillment and the impact he could make in the lives of others. In many interviews, Dwayne has shared how fatherhood, in particular, was a catalyst to this shift in his values. Becoming a father changed the way he viewed the world. It pushed him to rethink what was important and to reassess his priorities. Dwayne has spoken about how he realized that the superficial trappings of fame and fortune weren't as meaningful as the relationships he was building and the example he was setting for his daughter, Simone. When you become a parent, he said in one interview, it's like a switch flips inside of you. You start thinking differently about everything. His daughter has become his biggest source of inspiration, and his role as a father has helped him develop an even greater sense of purpose and clarity in his life. His growth as a person has also been marked by his deepening connection to his values. Early in his career, he may have been focused on the external recognition that came with being a successful wrestler and actor. But over time, Dwayne has made it clear that what matters most to him now is how he can use his platform to inspire others. His values are rooted in hard work, resilience, authenticity, and importance of family. He's always been an advocate for perseverance, whether he's sharing his own struggles with failure or encouraging his followers to push through their own obstacles. In one of his more emotional moments on social media, he opened up about the struggles he faced when he was younger. There was a time when I had $7 in my pocket, he recalled. I didn't know where my next meal was going to come from, but I had to keep going. I had to believe that there was something better waiting for me on the other side. This story, one of many he's shared, highlights the importance of resilience in his life. It's a message he's carried through every phase of his career, from wrestling to acting and business, and it's a central tenet of his brand today. Dwayne's ability to inspire others comes from his own authenticity and vulnerability. Unlike many public figures who carefully curate their image to maintain a sense of perfection, Dwayne is unapologetically real. He doesn't hide his struggles, whether they are personal or professional. He's open about his failures and his triumphs, allowing his followers to see the raw, unfiltered side of him. In doing so, he has created a space where others can relate to him and find the motivation they need to keep pushing forward in their own lives. He's also used his platform to address important social issues. Whether it's advocating for mental health awareness, promoting body positivity, or speaking out against inequality, Dwayne has become a voice for those who need it. His messages often emphasize kindness, empathy, and the importance of being your true self. He frequently uses his social media presence not just to showcase his projects, but to encourage others to take care of themselves, to stand up for what they believe in, and to support one another. As a public figure, Dwayne has consistently used his platform to bring attention to causes that align with his values. He's not just out there promoting movies or pushing his latest business venture. He's using his influence to help create meaningful change in the world, whether that means supporting charitable initiatives, spreading messages of positivity, or amplifying voices that need to be heard. And finally, we wrap up the incredible ride. Stick around as we reflect on the legacy, the impact, and the lessons we can all take from the life of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. As Dwayne Johnson has risen from humble beginnings to become one of the most recognized names in the world, his perspective on success has evolved significantly. Over the years, he's shared his thoughts on what true success looks like, and it's clear that his definition isn't solely based on wealth or fame. For Dwayne, success is measured by the impact you have on others, the example you set for future generations, and the way you live your life with authenticity and integrity. In interviews, Dwayne has repeatedly spoken about how he wants to be remembered. It's not about the awards, the trophies, or the box office numbers for him. Instead, he wants his legacy to be defined by the way he treated people and the inspiration he provided to others. "I don't want to be remembered for my titles," he said in one interview. "I want to be remembered for the people I helped and the difference I made." This sentiment encapsulates his belief that the real measure of success lies in the lives you touch, not in the material achievements you accumulate. He often reflects on his journey, especially when it comes to the obstacles he's faced and how he's overcome them. For Dwayne, true success is about perseverance, the ability to keep going even when the odds are stacked against you. He's spoken about his struggles with rejection, failure, and even self-doubt, sharing how each of those moments was a stepping stone to becoming who he is today. In a memorable post on social media, he wrote, "Success is not about the money or the fame. It's about being able to look yourself in the mirror and know you did your best and that you gave everything you had to every opportunity and person that came your way." This idea of doing your best, regardless of the outcome, is something Dwayne stresses frequently. For him, success is tied to effort, integrity, and the journey, rather than the destination. He's often shared that it's not about being perfect, but about being persistent and learning from each experience. True success, he says, is not the final destination. It's about the people you inspire, the hard work you put in, and the lessons you learn along the way. Dwayne's words also reflect his deep sense of responsibility, not just his fans and family, but to the world at large. He understands the weight of his influence, and he's conscious of how he can use it to create positive change. Whether it's through his roles in film, his business ventures, or his social media presence, Dwayne has made it clear that he wants to inspire others to be their best selves. "If I can inspire just one person to be better, to work harder, to believe in themselves, then I know I've done something right," he said in an interview. What stands out is how Dwayne has made his legacy about more than just his career. He's built a life that is rooted in his core values: family, hard work, respect, and authenticity. His journey has been about staying true to those values and making sure that everything he does, whether it's in the ring, on the big screen, or in his business endeavors, aligns with those principles. Dwayne's reflection on success is rooted in a desire to be remembered as someone who stayed grounded, who cared about others, and who worked tirelessly to leave a positive impact. In his recent memoir, The Rock says, he shares a powerful quote that sums up his approach to life. "Success is not about what you accomplish. It's about who you become in the process of getting there." This line speaks to the heart of Dwayne's philosophy. For him, the real reward isn't external accolades, but the internal growth that happens along the way. It's about the person you become through all the challenges and triumphs you experience. His success, therefore, isn't just about the man who became an actor, wrestler, and businessman. It's about the man who never lost sight of his principles and who always sought to improve not just his own life, but the lives of others. Dwayne Johnson's legacy is already being cemented by his successes and by the way he's chosen to live his life and the impact he's made on the world. From the father who prioritizes family to the businessman who encourages others to dream big, his legacy will be remembered for the values he espouses and the way he's used his platform to inspire and uplift others. And as Dwayne himself has said, the best is yet to come. His journey is far from over, and the impact he continues to have will be felt for generations to come. Dwayne Johnson's journey has been nothing short of extraordinary. From his early days in wrestling, where he carved out his own path, to his rise as one of the most recognizable names in Hollywood, his story is a testament to perseverance, hard work, and the ability to adapt to any challenge that comes his way. Along the way, he's not only dominated the entertainment world, but also become a true symbol of resilience. His story is filled with moments of struggle, failure, growth, and triumph, each contributing to the man he is today. Beyond his fame, Dwayne Johnson's legacy is built on the values he holds dear: humility, loyalty, and the constant pursuit of personal growth. Whether through his powerful performances on screen or his incredible journey as a businessman, he's consistently shown that success is not just about achieving your goals, but about how you uplift and inspire others along the way. His partnership with brands, his work in the gym, his family-first mentality, and his endless drive to connect with his audience reflect his authenticity. These qualities have made him not just a global superstar, but a role model who represents what it means to be a true champion in every aspect of life. One of the most remarkable things about Dwayne Johnson is how he's used his platform to give back. He's inspired countless people with his story, showing that no matter your background, no matter the obstacles you face, you have the power to shape your own future. His dedication to making a difference, whether through his charity work, his public speaking, or his focus on mental health awareness, shows that his influence goes far beyond the wrestling ring or Hollywood screen. His message is simple: Stay true to who you are, never back down from a challenge, and always strive to be the best version of yourself. As we reflect on his remarkable journey, we see how his values have shaped his path to success. Dwayne has always prioritized the importance of family, integrity, and giving back to the community. These values not only define his character, but also set an example for all of us. His determination to push through the hardest times, his focus on making a difference, and his unwavering belief in hard work and persistence have become the cornerstones of his legacy. Dwayne Johnson has truly redefined what it means to be a global icon. His impact on culture, the entertainment industry, and business has been profound. Through his roles in films like The Mummy Returns, Fast and Furious, and Jumanji, he not only shaped blockbuster franchises, but also solidified his status as one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. His transition from a wrestling hero to a cinematic legend shows the power of reinvention and determination. And let's not forget his immense business ventures, from his tequila brand to his partnership with Under Armour. Each venture a testament to his entrepreneurial spirit and vision. But it's his humility, his willingness to learn, and his ability to remain grounded that have made Dwayne Johnson's story so compelling. Whether he's on the red carpet, speaking to fans, or simply sharing a moment of vulnerability on social media, he remains approachable, relatable, and inspiring. He hasn't forgotten where he came from, and that humility shines through in everything he does. So, as you think about Dwayne Johnson's incredible journey, remember this. His success wasn't handed to him. It was earned through years of dedication, perseverance, and unwavering belief in himself. He's proven time and time again that with hard work, a strong sense of self, and the courage to take risks, you too can achieve greatness. If Dwayne's story has inspired you as much as it has inspired millions around the world, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know how his journey has impacted you and what lessons you've taken away from his incredible story. Keep pushing forward, keep striving for greatness, and remember, your journey is your own and the possibilities are endless. The road may be tough, but with resilience and dedication, success is yours for the taking. Stay strong, stay focused, and always keep moving forward.